In this second video, we will see two timbral dimensions which contribute to the contrast between background and foreground, and which have been identified as responsible of intrusiveness effects, high roughness and high spectral centroid. There are many complex theories which propose explanations for roughness. For this educational video, let's just say that roughness is the effect caused by fast modulations in amplitude. In this example, a simple signal becomes gradually richer in roughness, and you can perceive a subtle discomfort slowly increasing. Roughness can be produced in many ways. Humans are able to create roughness with their voice when they scream or cry. In this example, I try to have as little roughness as possible. In this example, I try to have as much roughness as I can. We could think that we developed this ability through an evolutionary mechanism in order to communicate a sensation of alert, of urgency in case of danger, or simply to be sure that a call for help cannot be ignored, or it can be perceived easily, even from afar. In many musical genres, good singers mastered the art of controlling this effect, evoking rage, high energy, excitation, or pain, and possibly infecting their listeners with the same primitive emotional qualities. Composers also control roughness in music by managing dissonance, not only harmonic but also timbral. They organize complexes of tones with fundamentals or partials so close between them that the periodical phase cancellations and reinforcements which occur create this particular modulation, slightly and deliciously uncomfortable. This is a simple example of different chords played with a very simple sound which create different levels of roughness. Notice how the fourth chord has a fair level of roughness but sounds smooth. This is the effect of a successive level of appraisal based on cultural roots. In the universe of sounds created by machines, roughness is often present. Car and motorbike engines have different levels of roughness, caused by the fact that the origin of these sounds is a very fast succession of explosions at the beginning of every cycle of every cylinder. This is a series of very fast and very ample modulations of volume. This is often connected with the sensation of sportiness and competition, because the more clearly the sounds of this fast series of shots is audible and not concealed by mufflers, resonances, damping devices, the more it evokes explosions, fuel, fire, danger. In other cases, mostly with electric appliances, roughness is considered as a defect. In the following example, you can listen to the sound of Renault Trésor, an electric concept car, in which I experimented and investigated how to introduce roughness in an electric-inspired sound. When we have to continuously listen to sounds with high roughness, for instance, when immersed in urban traffic, we could be pushed to experience in a passive way emotional states which enhance our nervousness, energy levels, arousal. This is a graph showing how auditory roughness goes up and down with different types of cars passing near a microphone. The spectral centroid indicates in which frequency zone the center of gravity of a sound is located. An electric bass with a dark timbre playing a low E has a low centroid. If the same note is played with a brighter timbre, like in a slap note, the centroid will slightly rise. In contrast, a cricket has a high centroid. Research about intrusive sounds has often found that the higher the centroid, the more annoying and intrusive the sound is. Several reasons could be found to explain this phenomenon. I guess that the more important reason is that our auditory system is more sensitive to higher frequencies. This particular feature of our auditory system has been studied since the 1930s, with the first examples of the equal loudness contour curves. Diagrams which show how different frequencies have to be played louder or softer in order to generate the same sensation of loudness. It turns out that the lower we descend, the less we are sensitive. The peak of our sensitivity is around 3000 Hz. This means that sounds with a centroid around 3000 Hz are the ones that we hear as the most loud, the most clear, the most evident. For a sound designer, it is important to control roughness and centroid in order to be able to modulate the amount of activation elicited by a particular sound. If a certain alert is only informational and doesn't have any particular urgency, its timbre can have low roughness and low centroid in order to avoid too much activation of attentional resources. At the same time, from the point of view of low intrusiveness sound design, these dimensions can also be considered in another way. Even if sounds in which roughness and high centroids are virtually intrusive, their intrusiveness is always relative to the background against which they appear. If the background is known and stable, has a reasonably low centroid and hopefully not too much roughness, adding a little roughness or going for a high centroid will allow to use much less amplitude for the sound to be well perceived.